I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
The tradition of great performers from Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown to Jackie Wilson to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. The story is usually the same though, these guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad, and the story is very sad in the end, because the companies take advantage of them.
Michael's image is being dropped in this document and photo dump with no clear indication of what crimes he might be implicated in. Something I'm sure the Trump administration just presumed people weren't really going to think of, given Jackson's history of accusations with inappropriate behavior with minors.
There's a story circulating online that sounds dramatic, even cinematic. The headline claims, "He tried saving them," suggesting that Jim Carrey once revealed why Oprah Winfrey was terrified of Michael Jackson. But when you slow it down, the reality is far more nuanced than the viral clips suggest. Jim Carrey has openly criticized Hollywood for years, talking about power structures, media control, and how celebrities are shaped by influence behind the scenes. However, there's no verified statement where he directly says Oprah was afraid of Michael Jackson. That idea comes from interpretation, not confirmed fact. What is real is the history between Oprah and Michael Jackson. Their 1993 interview at Neverland became one of the most watched TV events ever. Some viewers felt Jackson was being pressured, while others saw Oprah doing her job as a journalist. That moment has been debated for decades. Over time, the internet has blended Carrey's general warnings about Hollywood with long-standing conversations about Michael Jackson's life and media treatment. The result is a powerful narrative that feels convincing, even without solid proof. Carrey's message itself is broader. After stepping back from major films, he spoke more openly about how the industry can shape identities, manage images, and sometimes limit individuality. Words like control, perception, and agenda became part of his critique. Online, some people connect those ideas to Michael Jackson, portraying him as someone who resisted being controlled by the system. But again, that connection is interpretation, not something Carrey has directly confirmed.
One of the interesting things about Michael and his particular situation is that the grooming had started long before we ever met him. Because he was who he was. He was such a massive figure and represented himself as such an angel. And I didn't have a childhood, and I love children so much. That's why I love being around children, and I want to help other children have a childhood. So long before ever meeting him the first time, so much had been set up already that I was, and I think my mother, my whole family was already surrendered.
Jim Carrey once described certain celebrities as wild cards, people who are difficult to predict or control. Over time, some fans have applied that label to Michael Jackson, pointing to his creativity, privacy, and complicated relationship with the media. Carrey's broader message focused on how powerful institutions shape narratives to protect themselves. He didn't single out Oprah Winfrey, but because she represents media influence, online discussions often place her within that framework. This is how speculation grows. The internet connects dots quickly, even when the connections aren't clearly supported. What Carrey actually emphasized is that truth in Hollywood can be uncomfortable, especially for those who benefit from the system. Whether that idea directly applies to Michael Jackson is still interpretation, not confirmed evidence. The moment most often referenced in these conversations remains Oprah's 1993 interview with Michael Jackson at Neverland Ranch, a cultural flashpoint that continues to be analyzed and debated decades later.
You were actually on a cruise when Michael Jackson passed away. Who broke the news to you?
Gayle King.
Eyewitness News, Gail King, I call her Gail King Eyewitness News, who's, even though we're on a cruise, is watching all the newses and reading all the newspapers, and she said, something's happened to Michael, I don't think it's good. And it scared me because in 1998, I think that was the year, I was in another hotel room. Gail was in, and Gail called and said, something's happened to Princess Diana. I don't think it's good. So when I heard that, immediately I thought, oh my God, could it be? And so we were all stunned. And
did you ever consider going to either the memorial service or the funeral?
No, I did not consider going to the memorial service or the funeral because I did not consider myself to be a friend of his. And I didn't want to be one of those people showing up just because it's Michael Jackson. So no, I didn't, because I was not a friend. I was someone who had interviewed him and at the time really had a lot of compassion for him. And
those feelings about him changed over the years?
The feelings didn't change. In terms of my sense of compassion for him, what I felt was a sense of sadness. I never knew, what the truth was, as none of us now will ever know what the truth was. But anytime anybody has allegations of child abuse against them, that causes me to take a pause.
Right. The interview was watched by millions worldwide and quickly became a cultural moment. During the conversation, Oprah Winfrey asked Michael Jackson about his skin condition, childhood, and personal life, including sensitive topics that had already been circulating in the media. For some viewers, especially Jackson's supporters, the tone felt more investigative than friendly. They believed certain questions came across as accusatory rather than supportive. Oprah, however, defended her approach as responsible journalism, saying she was asking the questions the public wanted answered. From her perspective, it was about balancing empathy with accountability. Over time, that divide in perception only grew. Fans saw the interview as a moment of betrayal, while others viewed it as a necessary and revealing conversation. Members of Jackson's family later described it as a turning point, arguing that it opened the door to more suspicion rather than resolving public doubts.
When your mother asked you in 1993, the first trial, why did you do the same thing that Anthony did and so many other people have done? Why did you deny it? Because that felt like a great opportunity to say, well, yeah, some of the same things have happened to me.
I did not testify out of thinking I was doing something good or knowing that what he did was bad. I was afraid of being caught. It was on the news 24/7. I mean, it was just being broadcast, and there was so much attention on it from the world.
So by that time, you thought of what you were doing as a bad thing, or just as a thing that you all did, but you had to keep it a secret?
I didn't think of it as good or bad. It was that old sort of wiring of, if you're caught, your life will be over.
Yeah. And when you are, for instance, when we were here before, you know what? I mean, all the things ever printed in the tabloid, the only thing's ever been true is when they said I couldn't dance. When we were here the last time shooting the commercial, you were like in between shots, running off, conceiving the dance, choreographing the dance. You were up all night dancing.
And she did.
Ugly. He thought of himself as ugly. Changed his nose, and his nose got smaller and smaller. Alleged drug overdose. Maybe he was on drugs. Who knows whether he was on drugs? And remember that day he came in what looked like his pajamas. Was there a part of you that wanted to believe him, but you knew? Did you ever, for one instant, ever think that there was a possibility that he could be guilty of molesting a child? No. June 25th. Dr. Conrad Murray. Do you think he murdered your son? What did you think of the way he was raising them? The blanket was held out the window. We would see the children walking around with the veils on. Do you think it's good for the children to be out in public and not veiled? Do you think that's good? Let me read an excerpt of what you wrote the day after Michael died. The person I failed to help is being transferred right now to the LA County Coroner's Office. And right now, I am gutted, empty, dug out. Did you suspect a drug problem? There was a big part of you that wanted to see the truth.
The truth in what way?
The truth about drugs. Ever seen any inappropriate behavior between Michael Jackson and young children?
Are you asking me again?
I'm asking you again.
Absolutely not in any way. I did not see anything.
So you never saw anything, and to this day, you don't believe that any of those charges were true?
I never saw anything like that.
This is where modern conspiracy channels often bring in Jim Carrey's comments. They suggest that Oprah Winfrey, as a powerful media figure, saw Michael Jackson as uncontrollable. In reality, there's no direct evidence that she feared him. The tension is better understood as a clash of influence and narrative, not fear. Oprah built her reputation on trust, authority, and public connection. Jackson, on the other hand, cultivated mystery, creativity, and independence. When those two forces met, friction was almost inevitable, but friction doesn't equal fear. Another layer comes from Jackson's own statements. At times, he spoke about feeling targeted or misunderstood by powerful forces, and those clips are widely shared online. When combined with Carrey's broader criticism of Hollywood, its focus on image, control, and perception, a larger narrative starts to form. Some interpret this as Jackson threatening hidden interests. However, it's important to separate interpretation from evidence. Carrey spoke in general terms about the industry. He never claimed insider knowledge about Jackson exposing elites or being feared for it. What is documented is that Michael Jackson challenged aspects of the music business. He pushed for ownership rights, questioned contracts, and spoke about how artists could be exploited. That alone made him a controversial figure in corporate circles. But conflicts over business and control don't automatically point to a coordinated effort against him. The idea that Oprah feared Jackson because of hidden secrets has no confirmed foundation. It largely comes from connecting influence, timing, and public moments into a single narrative. When two powerful figures operate in the same space, people naturally look for deeper meaning, even when the evidence isn't there.
But a lot of this ended up being kind of pointless theater and delay because Congress finally twisted Trump's arm and passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which requires the Department of Justice to publish in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in DOJ's possession that relate to the investigation and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. So it's literally now the law. These files have to be released, and if there are any redactions to them, they must be explained and justified, because again, it's the law. But when has Trump ever cared about that? Which is why, as of the recording of this video, not only have all of the files not been released yet, but what files we do have look like this. And this. And this over here too. So yeah, a lot of these documents have some crazy redactions going on, to the extent where it is very clear that there is some purposeful curation going on in terms of what we actually do see. Because not only are there a lot of pictures of Bill Clinton, but also Michael Jackson. This is a name that is obviously going to draw a lot of attention, and Michael's image is being dropped in this document and photo dump with no clear indication of what crimes he might be implicated in. Something I'm sure the Trump administration just presumed people weren't really going to think of, given Jackson's history of accusations with inappropriate behavior with minors.
As we sit here today, do you still think that it's acceptable to share your bed with children?
Of course. Of course, why not? And I didn't sleep in the bed with the child. Even if I did, it's okay. I slept on the floor. I didn't say I slept in the bed. Even if I did sleep in the bed, it's okay.
Before I go any further on this topic, I do want to say this is not a Michael Jackson truther YouTube channel. However, this inclusion seems politically motivated when you look at the nature of these photos. Like this picture of Michael Jackson and Epstein, where it's unclear when or where it was taken because this photo dump was done without providing locations, dates, or context. There's also this alleged body bodyguard's statement about the nature of the photo, which does seem to, clear Michael Jackson and lay out his innocence. But I mean, after all, it is still just a random post on the internet, and who knows how true it is. And again, this picture itself doesn't link Michael to any specific Epstein crime, and apparently there's even testimony of one Epstein victim having met Michael through Jeffrey, but there was no substantiation of Michael's involvement in any of the sorts of crimes Jeffrey had been known to involve himself in, allow his third parties, his accomplices to take part in. And then we have this other photo of Michael with Bill Clinton, with some children's faces being edited out of the photo, and understandably, at first glance, this is a pretty unsettling image. However, the woman in the picture with Michael and Bill is actually none other than Diana Ross, and the kids in this picture are actually Diana's and Michael's kids, not victims of any Epstein-related crime. And we know this because this picture was taken around a highly publicized DNC fundraiser that Michael was involved in at the Apollo. So you have to ask, why would a seemingly innocuous image of Michael and Bill Clinton be tossed into this just massive document dump around one of the most notorious criminals in our modern times? Because look, despite Michael's history and despite Bill Clinton's history, there is a possibility, I would say maybe even a probability, that these two could have been in the same place at the same time for completely uncontroversial reasons, not related to any kind of criminal activity whatsoever. So yeah, I'm just saying from my own perspective, there does seem to be some heavy spin involved in what is being shown and what isn't. And if you don't believe me, interestingly, there have been some further removals of images and material since the original release of this first wave of documents. As has been reported by numerous outlets, we have this series of PDF images in which there is a number missing in this ongoing sequence of many different pictures. And apparently the photo that was removed was this one over here, which actually has Trump's smirking face in it. This photo of him and Melania and Jeff and Ghislaine, of course, that has been spread across the internet for years now. So Trump and the DOJ clearly got caught with their pants down here, tried to remove this picture, but then ended up posting it back up after the public outcry in reaction to its removal, claiming this picture being taken down had nothing to do with Trump or politics in the first place. So yeah, again, to kind of close things up here, I'm not coming on here to claim that Michael Jackson has never done anything weird or questionable, but his inclusion in these photos does seem to be a sort of sleight of hand on some level. Like, oh hey, look at the major superstar celebrity hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. That's the kind of person that he used to involve himself with.
Speculation often stretches further by linking Michael Jackson's later struggles to broader Hollywood politics. Some online narratives bring in names like Sean Diddy, Combs, and Clive Davis, suggesting overlapping networks of influence. These ideas usually come from loose connections, shared industry circles, past collaborations, or even people who worked across different celebrity teams. From there, the story often escalates. But correlation doesn't equal coordination. Jim Carrey's critiques of Hollywood are philosophical, not investigative claims about specific individuals. Likewise, Oprah Winfrey built her platform on storytelling and dialogue, while Michael Jackson's legacy comes from music and performance. Their worlds may have overlapped at times, but they operated in very different lanes. The internet tends to compress complex timelines into simple roles, turning Jackson into a truth teller, Carrey into a whistleblower, and Oprah into a gatekeeper. It makes for a compelling narrative, but reality is rarely that clear-cut. In high-profile industries, tension can come from competition, branding, ego, and reputation management alone. It doesn't require a hidden plot. And when audiences feel a major figure was misunderstood, it's natural to look for someone to blame, even if the full picture is more complicated.
Did you ever waver in your beliefs when the documentary director came out and said there was a timeline issue? Michael Jackson didn't have the train station.
You know why I have not wavered? Because I've had girls at my school who were assaulted and abused, and I have never won a case. And the reason I have never won a case is because when you put a girl on the witness stand and she can't remember, was it Thursday or Wednesday, it's automatically discredited. And so when you're in the midst of trauma, terrible things happening to you, you may not remember the exact time. It's why, like, if I hear a noise or something in my house, I like, look at the time, because they're going to ask what time was it? Oh my God, what time is it? So if you can't remember the day and the time and the da-da-da-da, everybody's like, well, okay.
I guess it never happened.
Guess it never happened. Oh, I said it was that hotel, but it was that hotel. Oh, it probably never happened. So I've been through that.
Story has been circulating online suggesting that Jim Carrey revealed why Oprah Winfrey was afraid of Michael Jackson. In reality, it's more interpretation than fact. Carrey has spoken about Hollywood's power dynamics and celebrity pressure, but he never directly said Oprah feared Jackson. The tension often cited traces back to Oprah's 1993 interview at Neverland Ranch, where she asked Jackson tough questions about his personal life. Supporters saw the tone as accusatory, while Oprah defended it as responsible journalism. Over time, fans read additional meaning into that moment. Carrey's broader. Critiques of Hollywood are applied to Jackson online, portraying him as unpredictable and independent. Jackson spoke about industry pressures and fought for ownership rights, but there is no confirmed evidence linking Oprah to fear of him. Even in recent years, after leaving Neverland, Oprah supported alleged victims, sparking debate among Jackson's fans. Internet narratives often merge these events, simplifying complex realities into a story of truth-teller, whistleblower, and gatekeeper. The reality is that Jackson, Oprah, and Carrey operated in overlapping but separate spheres. Emotional weight fuels these narratives, but interpretation is not the same as evidence.
You watched it unfold, and then what happened after?
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There was some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. The police asked Chris if he wanted to file charges. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
No, I agree. I think we all agree on that. I just thought, Jim, that it escalated to that. You know what I mean? That it escalated to that level.
It didn't escalate. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best. I really do. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment last night. You know, a lot of people worked really hard to get to that place and to have their moment in the sun and to get their award for the really hard work they did. And it is no mean feat to go through all the stuff you have to go through when you're nominated for an Oscar. It's a gauntlet of devotion that you have to do. And it was just a selfish moment to cast a pall over the whole thing.
You watched it unfold, and then what happened?
When three prominent figures intersect in a story, it can feel explosive. Social media amplifies that, shortening clips, reframing quotes, and exaggerating tone. A comment about wildcards can become a headline about fear. A tough interview can be spun as a takedown. Philosophical critiques can be mistaken for insider revelations. Often, the reality is quieter. Jim Carrey spoke about conformity and Hollywood power structures. Oprah conducted a challenging interview. Michael Jackson lived a life full of brilliance and controversy. These facts alone are complex without adding hidden scripts. Audiences are drawn to the idea of a larger story, but interpretation is not confirmation. Based on verified sources, there's no proof that Jim Carrey ever said Oprah was terrified of Jackson. He critiqued the industry broadly. Oprah asked difficult questions in 1993 and later supported leaving Neverland, and Jackson pushed back against media narratives. The phrase, "he tried saving them," reflects how many fans admire Jackson, not verified insider knowledge.
Only on CBS this morning, two men who say that Michael Jackson them as children are opening up about their experiences with the pop icon. Wade Robson and James Safechuck are featured in an explosive new documentary that premieres this weekend on HBO. Both men also sued the Jackson estate, but their lawsuits were dismissed because of the statute of limitations. They are appealing that. Jackson has always denied any inappropriate behavior with children. Robson and Safechuck told us about their relationships with Jackson, including very graphic allegations of abuse.
And so it was just Michael and I in Neverland for the next week.
And your parents allowed that?
My parents allowed that. Mm-hmm. Within either the first or second night of Michael and I being alone at Neverland, the night started changing. One of the ways I remember it starting is, Michael just sort of starting to touch my legs and touch my crotch over my pants. It progressed to him performing oral on me, him showing me how to perform oral him.
Did it scare you? Did you think it was wrong?
A couple days prior to the abuse starting, he started touching me, just in the sense of like, hand on my leg, lots of hugs, kissing my forehead, rubbing my hands. So there'd been this kind of development of physical closeness that was happening already that felt like a father. It just felt amazing. As Michael started doing these acts, he started talking to me about God brought us together. We love each other, and this is how we
love each other.
We love each other, and this is how we show each other our love.
James, you're nodding in agreement to what he's saying. Tell me what happened to you.
He introduced me to masturbation. He said I taught him how to French kiss. And then it moves on to oral sex. But
Are you frightened or thinking this is weird or wrong?
No, it's in the context of a loving, close relationship. There's no alarm bells going off in your head or any thoughts like that. Really, it's just, I love this person and we're trying to make each other happy. He said I was his first, but even as a kid, you don't even know what that means. So you're lovers and you're best friends.
What does that mean, James? You're in a relationship and you're lovers. You're a little boy.
Right.
And he's a 30-something man, and you're a little boy. Because at that age, how do you even know what that means?
You don't. You just feel really connected to someone, and you just love them intensely.
The public in general thinks it's violent, that it's very painful, but what you're describing is totally the opposite of that.
I mean, he didn't beat me. He didn't, he never said mean things to me. It was all, we love each other.
Many see Michael Jackson as misunderstood, targeted, and possibly ahead of his time. Oprah represents media authority, while Jim Carrey symbolizes rebellion against the system. The viral narratives that connect them say more about public distrust of institutions than about any single moment of fear. When powerful figures intersect, interpretation often fills the gaps between facts. The real question isn't whether Oprah feared Michael Jackson. It's why so many people assume someone with influence must have been afraid in the first place.
How y'all doing?
You just triggered some concern.
Yeah.
When you were doing that introduction, and you were saying like, that I was a co-founder of Rockefeller, and my partners were my partners.
Yeah.
But some of my partners are under certain scrutiny right now that would erase all the history that person had done.
Gotcha.
And I was a part of that history.
Gotcha.
So almost in this moment, it's like, damn, now I'm gonna have to make sure history doesn't get discredited or perceived the wrong way.
Right.
And how does that work when, and again, I don't know if anything's true, but the eating is spooky.
Right.
And if any of it is true, then we are in jeopardy of losing our at least as it relates to that part, that's concerning. It's like we could lose all of our, it's like everything that we meant to the world would be reversed in a heartbeat.
Facts.
But I feel like I've represented in such a way that I could keep it alive.
Right.
The memory of it preserved, regardless to what other people did. If I'm the strongest influence in that situation, if I'm the person that represent the essence of what it was and what it still is supposed to represent, then the legacy will not die.
Right.
But that legacy is in jeopardy right now.
Right.
And I didn't even think about that. Like, what are they going to say about Rockefeller if any of that
Right.
Now, you know, this is, as a fan, it's a thought. This is my reality. I spent a good part of my young life making history not to be erased.
Right.
And this is just how they erase your history. Because Puff's history is gone.
Yeah. Just like
Harvey Weinstein's history is gone. That type of is you.
Right.
If I would have got violated when I was young, I probably would have been a grew up about certain things because I didn't recognize my trauma.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
So now I have compassion for. Now I love all the people I thought that were doing bad toward me. I appreciate them for not involving me.
Right.
I love my enemies now. It's a very freeing perspective to love the people you hated.
I like that perspective.
It's God's lens.
That's a hell of a perspective, and it keeps you sane and moving forward, not stagnant.
Like,
I love that perception.
I just got it. I'm telling you, based on all the things that are happening.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, these people were I worked closely with a lot of these people that are being mentioned.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, if I was right with them, and if they was doing it, they didn't tell me, so thank you for that. Because they never would tell me when they were
right.
They never would incriminate me. And I gotta love them for that. They do some dumb but they were smart enough not to involve me in their dumb right. I believe that the devil has compassion for a good I just think the devil hates bad people. The devil takes advantage of bad people, but they let the good ones live. Because I know they'll test you. Because I don't know why I'm still, you know what I mean? I'm
right.
like, this scared me. Then God must have sent the devil. Because the devil spared me. Right. I didn't think the devil would spare you.
Right.
If the devil, anyone, listen, any that tells you a crime they committed, they hate you. If a kill for you and tell you he did it, he hates you.
Right.
Because now you're incriminated. Someone that loves you doesn't tell you when they put work in for you. They don't want you to be incriminated, and none of those dudes incriminated me.
Right.
And if I look at it through the devil's lens, I'd be mad at them. But through God's lens, they kept me free.
Right.
I keep telling all day. I've been like, as it bugs me, I'm like, this nigga Puff is really in jail. Yeah. Harvey Weinstein is really in jail.
Yeah.
This nigga Shook is really in jail. Free.
Yeah.
Popping it. Rolling. This was rolling so much it used to make me sick. But I couldn't, because the reason why is I couldn't understand why. I'm like, how did he get that deal? But if it came with this put you in jail,
right?
It ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it.
To flush it all, you know how much worse it is to have it, live and get used to living a certain way, and then get it all taken from you?
Right.
That sucks.
That's traumatizing.
It's better to be poor and stay poor.
Right.
Be broke and stay broke than be broke, get rich, and then be in a cage. Because when you're free, ain't nothing better than freedom.
Right.
If we widen the lens, some people connect this broader distrust to conversations around the so-called files involving Jeffrey Epstein. When hidden networks of influence and secrecy are exposed in one area, it creates a ripple effect. The public begins to question everything. Who knew what Chig?